yes.
Never give up.
You mentioned that 80% of our thoughts are negative, and for someone like yourself, processing their daily life, and if you would just help our audience, what really allows you to trumpet that type of thought where you became by default a master of of your thoughts, basically, of your mind, or directing your life, and so forth. What are some tips that you can give on that part?
Right. I think that every day is a new beginning to me, and every day is an opportunity to experience life to the fullest. Or some days are just you have one little mini disaster after another. For no reason whatsoever. That I remember. That I had three very important calls in one day, and I knew if those calls went positive, that I would make three deals that are worth about $150,000, which is a lot of money for a small business like ours, and that got blown off three times in a row. Where the first one said, well, he had whatever excuse, it didn't work out. And all three prospects went dark on me. And I said, what are the chances of that to happen? Did you strike out three times? But that's business. On other occasions, you luck out, and it evens out in the process. So my advice is to start a morning routine where you wake up and you say, I am ready for an extraordinary day. And I want to, I know that whatever comes my way, whatever problem comes my way, I'm going to see the opportunities in those problems. And I do have the resources to turn negatives into positives. So I set the intention to create something during the day that makes that day really memorable and enjoyable. And it's not gonna, that I think it's when you think in terms of possibilities,
Yes.
that there are infinite possibilities in navigating around problems. I was just thinking for a moment when he played chess, how many millions of combinations of moves there are to win a game. There's an infinite variety of possibilities. And I like to play chess and challenge myself and find new ways to counterattack, to make counter moves that are positive so I can win. At the end of the day, I think you need to have a routine for shutting down. You should shut down at least an hour before you go to sleep. Eliminate all distractions, close the computer, put your phone on airplane mode so nobody can call you during the night or nothing is buzzing. But then the other thing is to have a journal, to write down the unfinished business at the end of the day. And there is a book called The Artist's Way, where the author talks about the morning journal. I want people to become aware that unfinished business impacts your dreams. So you don't want to act out the negative scenarios that are going through your mind and rob yourself of fitful sleep. So I want you to think about all the things that happened during the day and randomly write down what happened so you find some closure, and also write down the three most important things that you need to do tomorrow. So you have a plan when you get up. And then you can use the force of your unconscious mind to solve the problems in your sleep.
Yes.
And sometimes, I fall asleep with the intention to wish for something that's going to happen the next day, where it may be wishful thinking, but it leads my mind into a direction that is positive, that's constructive,
Mhm.
and hopeful. Because essentially, when we're in the business that we are merchants of hope. And
Mhm.
when you suffer from disappointment, then it's really the death of hope, and you need to work harder to rekindle hope. And hope is like a hot air balloon that lifts you up, So you've got to fill those balloons to escape the gravity of living negatively.
Mm-hmm. I like how you said about when you're facing challenges or problems, that they are really all they're doing is setting a creative alarm clock. And automatically, with that type of thinking, you are always going to the direction of solution possibilities and taking action, solving something, versus being so much into the problem itself and being stuck in that direction.
And another thing, if you find yourself in that negative cycle where, sometimes life can be overwhelming. One thing happens after another, and then you almost have a thought where you think, the world is against me. One way to change that mindset is to just accept it. Where you can say, I accept whatever happened. I cannot change it. And the minute you accept it, then you can better understand the next step. Because when you're fighting it, you're not doing anything to move forward. You are sucked into a sinkhole that
Resistance,
you
yeah,
can't get out of.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Psychodynamics? Uh, so there's a book by, let me grab it here. So
Oh,
his name,
cybernetics?
well, no, it's
Psychotherapy?
called Psychodynamics. So there's this author, and he wrote this, Arthur Coulter. He wrote this book back in the 70s, and Psychodynamics was actually created by Buckminster Fuller, and you probably
Oh,
remember
okay.
Buckminster. Yes, so he's the one that actually coined the term, and this is many decades even before that. So so in a book that Coulter wrote, and he also studied semantics and everything like that, general semantics, Alfred Korzybski's stuff, and that NLP came a lot apart from that work as well. So he talks specifically about a process, and I mentioned this to Sofie, called art. And art is accepting, and like you said, accept that thought coming in. So you accept it, then the R uh, is reject it. So rejecting, in essence, means you replace it with something like more powerful, and then you transcend that. That's the T in that. So
Well, I
yeah.
think that the way I like to think about it is that we often lack perspective when it comes to our own lives. And
Yes.
that's why we need those conversations with other people, so that other people can share what they see that you don't see.
Right.
So to me, the steps is acceptance, then secondly, understanding,
Understanding.
and then third, um, reaching a new perspective. So then fourth, you can change. And so that's, there are many different
Process.
processes for stepping.
Got it.
But I want to give you another way to think about it, which is I have another pyramid where on top is mindfulness. And mindfulness is the awareness step, the door to your inner mind, where you become aware that there's something going on. And where you, there's a beautiful image that somebody shared with me, a mindfulness teacher saying that imagine your mind is like a guest house, and guests come in and guests leave, and every thought that enters your mind is like a welcome guest because you own the guest house. So if it's a negative thought, it's a visitor from a foreign land, or a visitor that is angry, or a visitor that is sad, or a visitor that thought is disturbing your peace. So what you do is you just, like a guest, an owner of a guest house would do, welcome every thought, no matter where they come from, and let the thought express itself, and accept it, and know that their thought is not going to stay forever. They're always going to be replaced by new ones. So you can wait it out. And by using that analogy that thoughts are guests in your mind, you reframe the perception that they own you. You own the house. The guests are just transient phenomena. And,
I love that.
And you can show a guest the door because you own your house.
So here's the exit.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
And that's the top is mindfulness. The next level is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where there's a connection between the words and the thoughts and the narrative and the feelings. The feelings are not created automatically. The feelings are a response or a reaction to thoughts. So if something negative happens, then let's say I used the wrong pronunciation for a word. And I may say to myself, oh, Gerhard, you're making a fool of yourself. You're on a podcast, and hundreds of people are watching this. Then it will interrupt my good feelings. All of a sudden, I may become anxious as a result of that. So by talking back at the negative thoughts, saying, it's not a big deal. You mispronounced the word. You're not a Native American. You get a license for being Austrian.
That's me with spelling and writing.
That's right. So that cognitive behavioral therapy is the second level of mindset management. And then there's a third level, which is deeper, and that's more of a psychodynamic level, where we become aware that we have not had always a good childhood experience. Where Bob and I, we come from different backgrounds, but we understand that there was some dysfunction in the past, and without going into this too deeply, by analyzing how we looked at the past as children, as let's say a 5-year-old has a vocabulary about maybe 5,000 words. So you cannot even describe accurately what's going on in that age, 5 to 7, let's say, because as an adult, we have maybe 40, 50,000 words at our disposal, and we can see things with a more critical, more differentiated, more subtle eye than we can as a child. So by examining the stories in the past and understanding how those stories led to beliefs about us, then we discover all of a sudden that we are not our stories. We are more than our stories, because we're the creators of the stories through the child brain, but we can be the editors of our stories through the adult brain by examining those stories, transforming the stories, and that's how we transform the reality for us today.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And and with a lot of great different modalities and techniques, people are able to truly have breakthroughs and just understanding what happened and being able to, like you said, accept it, so they can actually from there make changes and take
Right,
action when they
right.
understand it.
See, the thing that I find fascinating is that we lead our lives and understand our lives through stories.
Yes.
And most stories contain really big lies.
Yes.
And we are believing those lies. And we need to become truth seekers about ourselves. And, it's really funny when I think back on the visit in Austria and how people in my family back in Austria have the same sort of conflicts that they had 30 years ago. Still today, they're the same conflicts. They have not grown.
Same.
Yes. Yeah, and I can concur that with some of my relatives that I know, cousins and everything, in certain parts of the country that still are living the same lifestyle, the same story, the same type of job, and even the same job that's been passed down through their parents and everything, and have not grown at all. And I look at people, and I don't know if you've seen this, Gerhard, a lot of people that either move from one city to another city, or even especially another country, like immigrants that come here and start a business because they leave their old story behind. They come here and they're able to create a new story and build a new life. And because this is supposed to be the land of opportunity, they see that as the story they're able to create. So they're creating that. Have you seen that as well?
Well, I compare it to a canvas. You know, I lived in Austria and France and in the United States. I lived in France for only 2 years, but my canvas in Austria is filled with lots of crazy, repetitive graphics, and my life, my canvas in France is more elegant. I even feel different when I speak French, and my body language changes. And I feel the American canvas, the land of unlimited opportunities, is where I feel at home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel, because and I also come from a different background, and those who have lived in other places, as they're going and going to different places, like you said, it's a different canvas, it's a different experience, that the curiosity of the unknown and the freshness of the new and the exploration just added a very big charge to your soul, and that was part of making ability of a person to be more creative and co-creating their
Right.
experiences.
I think that there's a lot to be said. There's we are so close to nature, and when you think about just repotting a plant, that where the pot is too small because the plant has grown, and you repot it in a bigger pot, the plant can grow a lot larger. And it's the same with the implanted mindset. When you realize that those roots have expanded too much, then all of a sudden you suffer from what I would call arrested development. And
Yes.
If you replant yourself and find a better soil for you to grow, which means a better mindset, then there's
Yes.
no limits. And so many people think in terms of their limitations, and they can't grow because they focus totally on the history channel. They're not in the present moment. They never reach their full potential in the future because they have not repotted.
Yes. Which is really interesting because I literally had a bush that was like a small bush, and I decided to plant it out there. And that darn bush decided it wanted to become a tree, and it became a tree. It just grew and just kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and what was really thin, bushy trunk grew into really thick trunks, and then multiple trunks and everything like that, because it decided it wanted to be a tree. It did not want to be restricted anymore. It said I had enough of that pot, and I didn't want to be a bush anymore. I decided I wanted to be a tree, and it did. So
well, and it reminds me of your time when you were a police officer at LAPD.
yes, yes,
You were not the Bob that you are today.
that's right. Yep. Very, very controlling the rules. It wasn't me at that time, and I had to challenge myself to get out of that. And
Yeah, and I think that you discovered your inner architect, your inner artist, and you found a new canvas, and you're in the process of creating that Bob Choat masterpiece that you were destined to become.
Amen.
and the one that did the plyometric push-ups that time that you shot the film, the video of.
Right. That's right. Right.
Yes.
Now you have to learn how to walk on water.
Oh wow.
That I will look at doing. I've already done the jumping out of planes
Right.
at high altitudes, and a lot of other things, and parkour. And
No, but I think it's wonderful to see your transformation, even in your speech. I remember when I first met you, you were still more hesitant, and you shared your story in school where you were held back because you were dyslexic. Am I correct?
no, actually, it was stuttering,
Stuttering.
and I was diagnosed as being mentally retarded.
Right.
Yep. So I was a moron back in that was actually the diagnostic label that they gave me.
Right. It's a
Interesting.
very scientific term. Was that done by a real doctor?
Yes, by a psychologist. It was actually a diagnostic label back in those days.
Wow.
Yes, back when I was a child. They got rid of it later because it was stupid anyway. But it was actually a real label that they gave.
Right. It's
So
not very empowering, but
no.
Your wonderful testimony of the power of transformation, that everybody can transform, and I think that's the most important message for people that are listening to this, that your capabilities are probably far greater than what you're utilizing right now. And
that is correct.
And I think that's why we are having this conversation online, because we want to help people become the best version of themselves. And and I think, for all of us, the best is yet to come.
Amen.
It sure is. It sure is. I'm looking forward to this continuing journey and the continuing transformations, not only of us, those around us, even more so. And I think that's really powerful. And Gerhard, what I've seen you as a leader through the early days in selling Power magazine, the audios that I still have somewhere. I believe they're all in stores because just don't have any room for everything that I have around. Yet those were inspiring back in those days, every one of those interviews, and you continue to do that. And even more so beyond that, you've been able to create leaders. And I'm happy to be part of that with the Peak Performance Mindset program. And I'm going to suggest people to get involved with that part. If you're a sales professional, if you're a manager, if you're a leader in an organization.
Yeah, I have an idea that if anybody's listening and wants to get Selling Power magazine for free, and only those that are listening, go to sellingpower.com and put in the code SP3, SP3.
SP3.
You save yourself $29.
Oh, nice.
And if anybody wants to know more about mindset, go to mindsetscience.com. It's to me that it's probably the most meaningful thing I've ever created. And we have this mindset retreat in LA this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's going to be an amazing experience. And we're going to repeat it on September 20th through the 22nd. So anybody who is ready for a complete transformation and a thrilling, epic experience, join us.
Yeah. And by the way, I have the link to both of them in the description, sellingpower.com and also mindsetscience.com.
Right. So now I need to ask you a question, Sofie. How did you come up with the need for laughing?
When my mom passed away in 2011, I had challenged myself prior through visualization, meditation, and as I know, because she was dying with cancer, so we were prepared for that possibility. And my love and closeness to her, I had to think of how I can shock my system to something that would not put me in a place that I totally would not be myself, because by nature I'm a very uppity, happy, expressive soul. But I knew that that's going to be something to deal with, so I had to literally go through that process within prior. And I signed up for laughter yoga certification, not just to go to a class. So I said, if I push myself to be around that vibration, I'm going to totally do the opposite totally of what I would be doing, or I would force myself to shift state differently. And sure enough, it really helped me a lot. And in the process going through, I always had this curious mindset, love to learn, love to take classes, certifications, read, you name it, YouTubes, and so forth. And talking about that in a specific service, I signed up with Bob for a program that was 12 weeks, and we broke into this laughter that lasted over an hour. And I was like, oh my God, could somebody die from laughing? My stomach, I just can't stop. It was like so contagious. And then I found out that he's also a laughter facilitator, and I'm a certified laughter yoga. What we do know is that there's a lot of benefit, health benefit to laughter outside just the fun and joy and playfulness and the feel good that it brings instantly. And a person who's aware of a benefit always goes deeper in immersing with that emotion and that experience. So when I personally laugh, genuinely, I just laugh longer than the average person because I just know what it's doing internally to my organs. Yeah. And learning also the science behind laughter had also made me appreciate it more and apply it into my daily activities, including later on, as I lost my furry baby, my angel cat, I literally was doing laughter exercise just so because I wanted to, exercise my diaphragm and understand more about that, which in the process of creating the laughter mindset, I also learned a lot more about the science of laughter, the benefits of laughter. And Bob really brings a very good, his background in neuroscience and psychology, and mine is more in the energy healing and mindset and others. So it just came to a great combination to co-create a program that incorporates laughter and a growth mindset together. And it's really became such an addiction and passion because it is a natural process of our nature and who we are. So it just, and we live in a time and day truly that if we don't learn to laugh at things enough, we are going to learn how to be medicated and suppressed. So truly, it is something that I feel is a gift that you can share with the world and just remind them of their nature, because an infant laughs before he walks. So by the laws of creation, there is a purpose and a big benefit of laughter to our bodies that we naturally possess. Is just to connect more with that frequency. Some people need a little bit more of a reminder because they become so serious. Life has gotten them to be so more jaded. Systems and cultures, and just like we talked a little bit earlier between when you mentioned, a system that follows a transaction versus an experience, which was an amazing point that I really love the analogy of it. A system that follows a transaction had forgotten to laugh more and to bring more humor into their day. And I feel it's like such a strong drive and mission to me. If I can put a smile on somebody's face, if I can make them laugh, it makes me so happy. So, and laughter is contagious. It doesn't take much to start a laughter virus going around. So I love my laughter cocktails.
Right.
Yes.
I'm reminded, when you're sharing the story that laughter yoga, it's really. I think yoga is stretching your awareness of your body, and laughter opens the door to joy.
Amen.
And when I walk, go on a nature hike or something, or go on a mountain, or I'm skiing on a mountain, I cannot stop grinning. I cannot.
Yes, love that.
Because and I think that Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, he wrote that book Flow, F-L-O-W. And I remember being in Chicago interviewing him, and he's a very serious scientist, and he has interviewed so many talented, let's say, musicians and or astrophysicists, and that flow state is something that we all crave. We want to be in the flow, and I find that when I do Tai Chi, I'm in the flow. I'm almost floating, and I'm out of that stressful sort of business mindset, and I'm stepping out of it, and I'm smiling, and I'm happy. And Tony Robbins is totally right. He says, change your physiology and you change your psychology. So what you were doing when in 2011, sort of counteract the heaviness and sadness, and in China, people celebrate death. We're doing the opposite. So every culture has a different reaction. I remember
like the understanding.
Right. I remember when my
person.
Right. my mom died a number of years ago, and she was 93 or 94,
Sorry.
and I went home to Austria and went to the funeral, and it was a very solemn, experience. And then we all found ourselves in this guest house in this restaurant, and the family members, but they were all also the locals, and I cannot remember a gathering of relatives and friends where we laughed so much
Oh,
for hours. My belly was
wow.
aching because everybody had stories, that were funny, and and we were celebrating a life that was, a long, happy life, and I think it's tried to say laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember Dr. Norman Vincent Peale saying, we can make ourselves sick with thoughts, but we can make ourselves happy with thoughts as well. And it's our choice. And you made the choice
Yes.
to do laughing yoga. It's brilliant.
Yes.
That's why you were the queen.
Oh.
She is the queen of laughter and wisdom, and I get to experience that all the time, being her partner in a laughter mindset program and the workshops we've done and everything like that. And so, yeah, she really expresses that all over from people I've heard all around her. She's like, she brings that light to the room and the laughter, and it's great. It's great to see. So I'm more of the technical guy, the more of the nerd, and she's that expressive laughter.
It is when
So
we tap into our gifts and truly connect of what brings the best out of us and what we can share with the world of that best. We live our passion and you live your truth. Your soul expression is so bright and so vibrant, so alive to everything around you. And it's something that we all have. We don't have to look for, we just have to connect with because it is there. It's just a matter of choosing. And
choose.
once we have that practice and make it a habit, it just becomes part of your daily living and your natural process of how you look and feel.
So yes, I just expressing.
I don't know how you did this.
How fast, right? He's a magician. Oh, watch out. Whoa.
There he goes.
That is so funny.
If you want the epitome of silliness, I can do bottle flips.
Oh,
there you go.
On one try.
On one try.
That is something, we can never lose our childlike playfulness.
Yeah, there's something that Wayne Dyer told me, and it was startling when he said it, but then it made a lot of sense. He said, Gerhard, it's never too late to have a happy childhood.
I love it.
Yes. Yes.
That is
Yes.
so
And really,
And
people want to play. I mean, I remember when I asked Bob, can you do some push-ups? And you immediately went on the floor and did your burpees. And then there was another woman that liked to do push-ups, and she did push-ups with Jim Cathcart.
yes.
So,
Yes.
I think if you give people a chance, we all want to play. We are born to play. We are born to laugh, and we become so one-sided in our approach to life. In France, they have a saying: "Métro, dodo, boulot," means you go to the metro, You go to work and then you sleep, and then you repeat it every single day. And we need to take time out to assess our lives and become the artists that creates the best version of you every single day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we will all keep on that. I would say your wisdom, but more important, what I felt tonight, and as I've always felt with you, Gerhard, is your joy. You're expressing and that joy of you being a teacher and the joy of you just being you at your best. And I felt your expression that tonight again. So wonderful.
I am
So
so,
wonderful.
so happy to truly have the time that you gave us. It is such an honor and a blessing, and truly thanking you from the heart and soul. And looking forward to seeing you and giving you a big, big, big hug.
Yes,
Likewise.
yes, yes. And again, everybody go to Selling Power Magazine and I will like scroll back and grab the code and put it up. And go to the mindsetscience.com site. And again, you can see the link and check out his upcoming retreats. He's having one, what is
Doing
it?
it
It's this
September.
weekend. And then also he's going to repeat it in September. And you also have coming up next month, towards the end of next month, in Las Vegas, the Sales 3.0 conference as
Right.
well for those sales professionals. And there's a lot of them that are watching. If you want to go there, you go check it out. It's going to be an amazing event. And Gerhard always delivers. And
Thank
if
you, Bob.
you,
And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest.
yes, yes. So look up
Great
Gerhard on
platform.
LinkedIn and definitely connect with him. Send him a connection request, and I'm sure he'll be glad to accept it. And when you do that, people, you're going to up your game and your connections, and as Sophie would say, your vibrancy as well. So at a higher level.
Yeah, our inner circle and the people we connect with, the higher thinkers, and so you choose your way and your life by the people you surround yourself with. And being in service is always beautiful, but you got to challenge yourself. And like they say, if you're the smartest person in the crowd that you're around, you're ready, grown your circle, and it's time for you to grow and learn and learn more. And that's why good mentors are there and good coaching programs are there and so forth. So you need to seek that for your growth and your journey. And this is what it's all about. You know, we celebrate, laugh, grow, thrive, learn, and glow together.
Yes.
We glow and grow together. I love that.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
And
thank you so much for having me. It's
thank
an honor
you.
to be part of this conversation and let your curiosity be the guide for the next 900 episodes.
Amen.
Yes, yes. Amen, amen, amen for that. So again, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in on the show. And again, thank you, Gerhard. And we look forward to connecting with you again. Maybe even invite you back and
Yes,
everything.
I
So
am
definitely.
that.
Well, maybe when I get to LA, we do lunch or something.
Fantastic. Yes,
All right.
definitely. Definitely. Okay.
Perfect.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.